14th century, a disease ravaged Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, whose devastation is unparalleled.
Alright, so I'm a big history buff, you feel me? So, from what I learned in the American school system, which has failed me multiple times, the Black Death started in China, then the rats came on the European ships, and then spread it through the European people. There were fleas on the rats, and then the people got bit by the fleas, and the fleas who was infected the humans, and that's how the Black Death started to spread, because them niggas used to live in close proximity to each other. That's some knowledge shit that I learned in the American school system. Thank you, Mr. Wayne.
It's estimated
that was my favorite history teacher.
Between 100 and 150 million people died over a few short years.
God damn.
At a time where the world's population was around 350 million.
God damn.
Making it the deadliest pandemic in recorded history. The bubonic plague was likely able to spread along the trade routes, both along the Silk Road and aboard merchant ships. Those infected by the plague would die.
He has a point, but niggas ruin shit.
Often in extreme agony, unaware of the cause and unable to receive any meaningful treatment. In today's,
you see, back in the day, damn, I could switch so easily. I just went from being angry to like being informative. But like back in the day, these niggas didn't have germ theory. Like germs is just a theory. Like we don't know if germs are real. Like germ theory is an actual thing. We don't know if germs are real. We know bacteria is real. We know parasites are real. But germ theory,
we
don't know that shit for real.
Its symptoms and the devastating effect it had on so many. The Black Death, otherwise known as the bubonic plague, is caused by the bacteria Yersinia pestis. It is a disease that can affect both animals and humans, though it is predominantly found on rodents and their fleas. A person affected with the bubonic plague will suffer from fever, chills, and fatigue. But their telltale symptoms are large black buboes on a person's
This was pre-monkeypox,
groin, and neck. These fill with dead blood and pus, and will burst further spread neck. On a person's lymph nodes, on their armpits, groin, and neck. These fill with dead blood and pus, and will burst, further spreading contamination. In addition to bubonic plague, pneumonic plague can develop, affecting the lungs and can be spread from person to person by infected droplets. And finally, there is septicemic plague, where the bacteria will replicate in the infected person's blood. It can
imagine being alive at that time and you catch the plague. There's no medicine that could actually help you. Even today, we still don't have no medicine from what I know of. There's no medicine that can help you. You're being treated like an outcast. The niggas who actually take care of you look scary as shit. And then, once you die a miserable ass painful death. Just imagine what them niggas had to go through.
Pneumonic or bubonic plague, though it is possible for it to occur without the other. The disease favors infecting and killing rats and other rodents. It is capable of wiping out an entire colony in just a few weeks. Fleas that would drink from the infected blood of the dead rats would remain and feast until another rodent or human strayed too close. And so, the cycle begins anew. It was likely through the spread of infected fleas and their rat hosts that the Black Death was able to spread throughout the world. Rats favored the damp and dark holds of the merchant ships, the perfect vector for spreading the plague. Rats in turn thrived in the unsanitary conditions of human settlements.
And mind you, I gotta stop pausing. Y'all niggas be complaining about it. But mind you, these niggas, they have no bathrooms. They used to throw their shit on the floor in the
The first
streets.
known instance of the Black Death arriving in Europe
Them
can
niggas
be
were,
dated
them rats
to
were having a
siege of the port
feast
city of
and
Kaffa
that shit.
on the Crimean Peninsula in 1346.
And the Mongols used that
The
against them.
forces of the Mongol Golden Horde were beset with
I'm
the
smarter than the
bubonic
fucking
plague,
video, nigga. Suck my dick.
in some early form of biological warfare,
And they threw the bodies
reportedly
over.
catapulted the corpses of the infected dead.
I was
over
just
the
about to
city
say that.
walls. Whether or
Come
not
on
this
now.
actually happened, it cannot be denied that the disease entered the city. Caught between
Once
the
it entered
plague
the city,
within
that shit
city
went
and the Mongol
crazy.
forces at
Them
the
niggas had a
gate,
feast.
A number of Genoese traders fled by ships to the rest of Europe, calling at Constantinople, Sicily, and northern Italy.
God
As
damn.
the ships would arrive at port,
And those are some
dockside
big ass
workers would be
cities
greeted
too.
with a truly horrific sight. Sailors, both corpses and those dying from the disease, displayed the black buboles, marking them infected with the Black Death. The ships were held as it was established what was happening, though it was already too late. It was reported
Damn,
that
he looks
even
like he's
hearing
about,
the
damn
words
near
of
about
the
to
infected
die.
was enough to transmit the disease. But by this point, the rats and fleas had been able to spread from the ship and began to infect the populations. This would be a story along the European coast, where trade ports and coastal settlements were infected. The speed in which the Black Death was able to spread is staggering considering the modes of transportation available.
Damn, it was like
From
a
the
blitz.
initial infection
It was
in
like a blitz.
Constantinople in May of 1347.
Let's see. Okay. Damn, hold on. No data. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, where the fuck is Geneva? Geneva is fuck. Geneva, fuck. God damn, I'm not bad at geography. I just gotta figure out where the fuck is Geneva at. Man, fuck it. Constantinople is right here, right? Alright. Mind you, that was a big city, a big ass port city too, right? If it went up to Venice, the minute it hit Venice, it hit mainland Europe. It was already at mainland Europe, but it hit mainland Europe, like Germany, Poland, and shit like that, right? There's France, there's Spain, there's Portugal, right? The minute it hit mainland Europe, that shit just went crazy. Like that. Venice is a port city too, right? That shit, it just spreaded.
By March the following year, most of Europe was under the effects of the Black Death. Only Iceland and Finland were spared from the disease.
Because it was cold as hell.
Settlement was infected.
The fleas weren't.
Be a matter of time.
Like the fleas were not surviving in the cold.
For a large proportion of the population to be killed. For a time, a person will display no symptoms, yet will still be contagious. It would be far too late.
And the rats will not survive in the cold.
Symptoms. At the time, there was no understanding of germ theory, with many incorrect beliefs persisting as to the cause.
Them niggas thought the devil was fucking taking over their body.
And spread of the disease.
Them niggas thought the devil was coming back.
Doctor masked with the hooked beak-like nose and flowing robes. Whilst you may associate this outfit,
they thought it was going to scare something, and then they had daisies in their beaks.
Did not exist until the 16th century outbreak of the disease. The long-beaked nose would be filled with all manner of herbs and spices, both to block out the smell of the rotting dead, who were often left in their homes to die alone. But it was also believed that the disease might spread through the foul odors. For the first outbreak, doctors relied on bloodletting and lacing the buboles to attempt to cure patients.
Bloodletting,
it was believed at the time.
I feel like bloodletting killed way more people than the bubonic plague. Like it helped kill way more. It helped kill way more people than the bubonic plague. The Black Death. Fuck.
That proper levels
I'm not saying that shit no more.
Pus ought to be maintained for a healthy body. And so, by draining the patient, it was believed that the patient might be saved. However, such practices
and letting the blood just spread it
and offered no treatment. Before the ready availability of antibiotics, there was an attempt to create elixirs to cure patients, one of which was made from treacle, ale, chives, and charred eggshells. And as you can imagine, this offered no reprieve from the disease. It appeared the only solace that could be found was during the winter, as this was when the disease would disappear, only to resurface once the weather improved. The death toll would range greatly from city to town to village.
God
Often, it would be
damn.
around 25 to 30% of the population who would succumb to the illness,
God
though it
damn.
could be much higher. In Cairo, it is believed that 50% of the population perished, whilst in
And Cairo was hot all the time, so all year round, these niggas were getting fucked. These niggas were getting trained. Is that his dick? That's his dick. But all year round, like that's his dick. All year round, these niggas were getting fucked. It was hot. The Cairo is in Egypt. These niggas were getting fucked like hell.
Florence, it is believed that 90% died of the Black Death. As entire towns were devastated by the disease, those who thought themselves well would flee, leaving ghost towns of the dead and dying.
Damn.
Families would be torn apart as the children would be left by their parents, spouses leaving their affected partner, and brother leaving brother. Mass graves were used to accommodate the masses of the dead.
Twitch
with
don't
not
like
enough
this.
time
Twitch
or
don't like this
available
picture.
clergy to perform any form of last rite. Those that left would unwittingly carry infected fleas hidden within their clothing and would pose a threat wherever they may have ended up. As there was no viable explanation, many looked to other causes or explanations for the deadly illness.
Listen to
Some
what he's
looked
gonna
to the
say.
stars, believing there to be some form of astrological cause, whilst others saw the disease as a punishment from God for untold sin. Others pointed the finger
told
at
y'all.
those deemed as other, with instances of Jews being accused of poisoning the wells.
The Jews were poisoning the wells. That's crazy. The Jews been persecuted for years. Like, if anything goes wrong, you just blame it on the Jews back in the day. People will believe you niggas. Y'all niggas used to hate the Jews. Like, damn.
Often followed by some form of pogrom. Whilst people realized that contact, particularly with the clothes of the infected, could cause infection, it was never understood that it was the fleas and rats that caused the infection. The unsanitary conditions of many towns and villages only assisted in the breeding grounds of rats and their fleas, with the streets often covered in human and other types of waste. By 1351, the Black Death had taken its toll on much of the world's population, though it did leave behind more than corpses as its legacy. As a result of drastic depopulation, survivors found their labor in demand, often receiving greater wages or preferential treatment. As the size of the workforce could not be relied upon for the greater production, improvements
I've
in
been
farming
streaming
were
for an
pushed,
hour?
as too was the focus on animal farming rather than crops. Although such improvements often came in tandem with some form of resurrectionary laws, preventing social mobility of the peasant classes. For some in Western Europe, it spelled the end of serfdom, whilst for those in the East, serfdom was enforced. Whilst the Black Death laid bare the inadequacies in medicine, it did highlight the importance of surgeons and the role they might play in the field of medicine. But for those who survived,
surgeons back in the day were your barbers.
Survivor's guilt was
no, that was dentist. That was your dentist. Never mind, I'm fucking
town
stupid.
Or village and your friends and family die in a matter of weeks, only to be left alive without explanation. Groups of flagellants, that is, those who inflict pain and punishment upon themselves for atonement, appeared as one way of dealing with the guilt, flogging themselves bloody.
Niggas
Whilst
have
the
survivor
Black Death of the
guilt.
14th century was the deadliest,
And they whip themselves?
It was not the last the world would see of the bubonic plague. The disease would flare up from time to time, lasting years and taking a heavy toll. It proved
It'd be flaring up in the 20th century.
Occurring in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Notable examples.
No. Look. Back to the thing I was saying. These niggas had survivor guilt, and they whipped themselves. Like, The people who think that they're born in the wrong time are fucking stupid. You will not survive in the 1400s. You're not going to survive in the 14th century. You're not surviving in the 13th, the 17th, the 16th, you're not surviving in any of those centuries. You're not even surviving in the 18th or early 19th centuries or early 20th centuries, dog. Y'all niggas are going to suffer. Like from 1900 to 1945, and you niggas are going to die. Like the death you guys are going to face either from war, beheading, or disease. If not that, you catch polio and get paralyzed for the rest of your life, and you have to breathe through an iron lung. That's the only thing that could happen. Or you die from tuberculosis.
Which
God
was
damn.
25% of the population at the time. It was in the 1850s when the disease struck hard again, starting in China before spreading to much of the continent, to India, and to Australia. It is believed that around 15 million people perished, with around 10 million dying in India alone.
What?
To this day,
what happens to these bodies?
Though it's largely kept in check by both vaccines
15 million people? What happened to these bodies?
Bacteria, there is the fear of strains
we cannot be burning 15 million people and and we can't bury 15 million people.
In 2014 and 2017. There will be a handful of cases each year in the developed world, with the occasional death. Currently, the three most endemic countries are the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Madagascar, and Peru.
All of them are low-key kind of underdeveloped. Peru's a little more developed than the other two.
It is 100% fatal. Although it would show up sporadically over the coming centuries, the disease would never again reap such a heavy toll as the Black Death of the 14th century. The Black Death can be seen as an example as just how far we have come in dealing with pandemics.
Twitch don't like this image. I'm gonna get banned. Twitch don't like this shit.
Privileged to live in such times. As our understanding only grows, perhaps one day humanity will be able to look back at the diseases that still affect us today, just as we look back at how far we have come from the events of the Black Death.
God damn, his fingers are fucked up.